Some breaking news right now. Disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life while he was behind bars here in New York City. Epstein was facing sex trafficking charges. NBC News investigative correspondent Tom Winter now has the very latest. Tom, what more do we know?
Peter, what we know now is that at 6:39 this morning, the fire department and EMS here in New York City got a phone call from MCC, which is a federal detention facility here in Manhattan in New York City, where Jeffrey Epstein was being held awaiting trial. They took him to New York's downtown hospital. He was in cardiac arrest. And he was pronounced there. What we know from officials that have been briefed on what happened, he was found and appeared that he had hung himself in his cell or wherever he was being held within MCC, and he was found by prison officials this morning, and that's when they reached out and they called EMS in unsuccessful attempts to revive him. So that happened early this morning, and right now what we're trying to do is figure out if he was still on suicide watch, because there was an incident that occurred several weeks ago where he injured himself. It wasn't quite clear if that was an attempt on his life, an attempt to perhaps stage an attack. The details of that were never really kind of hashed out, if you will. So this morning there's some significant questions on how somebody who it was such a high-profile defendant, somebody who had connections that went up to a current president, could be found dead, and how this could have happened.
Yeah, Tom, you're exactly right. Again, for our audience just joining us right now, NBC News has now confirmed that financier Jeffrey Epstein has taken his own life at a jail here in New York City. We will, of course, be following the latest developments on.
All right, so Justin,
I already get the feeling that we're gonna disagree a little bit on this.
Okay, yeah, because, well, I'll tell you what as a Trump, I voted for Trump 3 times. You voted for Trump 3 times. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think he's doing a good job. I love everything that he's doing so far. You know, there's some of our friends on the left don't think so, but I you know, you have to build up a foundation. And I call a local radio show here, and we always give a letter grade on the president. It's like once a month they do it, and I've been giving him consistent A's. The last time I called the show, I went down to a B minus, because of this Epstein thing. And the reason why is they built us up before he took office. He was elected, and then when he was president-elect, Pam Bondi, Cash went on Patrick Bet-David, Patel, talking about day one, we're going to release the files. And I haven't seen shit. And my major hang-up is, A, you blabbed about how you're going to release this thing, and number 2, B, there were kids involved. Now, by no means do I think Trump is on the list or anything like that. He pretty much kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago like 20 years ago. I think it was 05, 06, maybe a little later or earlier. I can't remember, but the left is kind of using this as like, oh, he's on the list and all that stuff, which I don't believe that. But why are they protecting this guy? There's a lot of other conspiracy theories. Is he still alive? Is he part of Mossad? Was he a double agent, CIA? What say you? Give me your hypothesis on this situation.
I'll throw a couple of opinions that I have about Jeffrey Epstein. One, I don't think career sex criminals like Jeffrey Epstein was very likely document their criminal acts by saying, oh, this guy came and did this on this date and blah, blah, blah. So whatever client list there is, I mean, we know Jeffrey Epstein was very well connected. He knew a lot of people. He had a lot of visitors. I'm not going to assume everybody that ever visited Jeffrey Epstein or went on a private jet or went to an island was engaging in illegal activity. I think we know that some were. So that's, that's one thought that I have, that there could be some list that exists of people who, Jeffrey Epstein communicated with or traveled with or did whatever that didn't do anything wrong. And it's possible that releasing such a list could create, smoke where there is no fire. Okay. So that's one opinion that I have. Number two, as it pertains to Trump, Donald Trump he never drank. He's never drank in his life. He's never smoked. He's a very calculating person. The idea that he would ever have engaged in anything of this nature, it's not logical.
Not with children. I mean, he liked women of the night, right? He was, he was a party guy. He was a billionaire playboy, but not with underage kids.
Right. And also people like Bill Gates and others who are on the left who are known to have associated with Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, people aren't stupid. You don't get to be a multi-billionaire, whether it's Gates or somebody else, by doing stupid things. And I just tend to think that this idea that there are these super wealthy, powerful people that Jeffrey Epstein had, like I'd be very surprised if Bill Clinton, as little as I think of him, ever sexually assaulted a child in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein. I find that not believable. I just don't think it happened. So, and I don't like Bill Clinton. So that's my take on that. The other thing I have is I absolutely believe Jeffrey Epstein killed himself.
Really?
And yes.
Whoa.
Because here's the thing. Let's just say hypothetically, and I make a similar argument to what I make about Lee Harvey Oswald. And we can talk about Oswald in a minute.
I disagree with you on that one too.
I know. Jeffrey Epstein was a free man living amongst us for many years, while people knew that he perhaps had been involved in some scandals with some powerful people. Okay. If you're in a position to, one, be harmed by Jeffrey Epstein's testimony, and two, actually kill him, you don't wait until he's in federal custody for a period of time, speaking to God knows who, giving what kinds of statements and I forget how long he was in custody before he died, but it was not like a weekend or something. I mean, you don't allow someone to get to that point where they could have made whatever sworn statements on video and then kill them. You would kill him before he went into federal custody. So if Jeffrey Epstein really had information that could end the lives of very wealthy, powerful people to the point where they thought he needed to die, he would have been killed long before he was ever incarcerated. So that's why I think he took his own life. Just too many things can go wrong if he's killed in federal custody. Far too many things. And I just don't think that it would have happened. It's not even that I don't believe people are capable of doing terrible things, because I do think they're capable of that. And I'm not, naive about the way the world works. I just think if you think about it logically, if he was going to be murdered because he had the ability to testify against powerful people, those powerful people never would have let him be in federal custody ever. They would have killed him before. Because, and now here's how I relate it to Lee Harvey Oswald. People kind of forget this. Oh, well, Oswald, he had to be killed. That was a setup that he was murdered by Jack Ruby to keep him silent. Oswald was in custody for 2 full days and was interrogated for hours and hours and hours before he was killed by Jack Ruby. Okay. If Lee Harvey Oswald was part of some grand government conspiracy, he never would have been captured. He would have been offed before he was caught by the Dallas police. It is undeniable that Lee Harvey Oswald killed a Dallas police officer named J.D. Tippit, who was confronting him because Oswald matched the description of a person who had fled the Dallas school book depository shortly after the assassination. And J.D. Tippit confronted him, and Oswald killed him for it. And Oswald was then found with the gun that was used to kill J.D. Tippit. So, in the case of Oswald, like, why did Oswald kill J.D. Tippit if he was just an innocent guy who thought was being framed? If Lee Harvey Oswald had knowledge that was so damaging to the CIA or whoever the hell else, they wouldn't have allowed him to be in custody for 2 days. So that's why I think Jeffrey Epstein, who knew he was facing life in a jail cell, literally, he was never going to see the light of day ever again. He said, I can't, this is a guy who lived in Palm Beach in a mansion and had everything he wanted in life. And it was seeing, I forget how old Epstein was. Was he 60 or something when he was killed? I don't know. But he was facing, many decades in a small cell in a federal prison and didn't like that prospect. So he took his own life.
How did he take his own life in a suicide prevention area in a cell where it's designed to prevent suicides? You have 2 security guards who both take a smoke break or a donut break or whatever. You have a minute of footage missing. Okay, the cameras malfunction during that exact time. So Epstein hung himself in a cell, which is supposed to prevent you from hanging yourself, during a time when both security guards left and the camera malfunctioned. Come on, that's like hitting a royal flush twice in the same night in poker.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure I've seen a lot of those facts you just referenced reported.
Yeah, okay.
Dig
into it.
Huh?
Dig into it.
Yeah, I will. I just think, I think if you're going to kill Epstein because he possesses knowledge you don't want getting out, you don't wait till he gets incarcerated to kill him. You don't. You send someone. You poison his food, so or whatever. You do something that makes it. You stage it better. I mean, it's that's the way I see it. I can't read. I have my glasses on to see what the Caspers is saying.
Yeah, well, Nick the Kid said hello. The Caspers is in agreement with you, apparently.
Yeah, it's not the way. It's not the way you would. See, I don't like wearing my glasses when I'm on camera if I don't have to. I'd like Dr. Galvin addressed. I don't know who Dr. Galvin is. Yeah. My guess is you do, Steve-O.
No, I don't know either. Dr. Galvin. The Caspers, elaborate on that.
So anyway, let me just wrap this up very quickly.
Yeah, go ahead. Because
I highly doubt that Epstein was murdered. If you were going to murder him because you want to stop his testimony, you would have done it very, very differently and much more convincingly. And never allowed him. What if he had spilled the beans to, in open court, because he appeared in court at times. I don't have all the facts in front of me, but he could have said whatever he wanted. You wouldn't risk that. If it was that damning, the info he had, he never would have been incarcerated. And, if the people are powerful, anybody powerful enough, look at it this way. Think about this last thought, which you'll disagree with. Anybody powerful enough to orchestrate his murder while in federal custody is also powerful enough to make the charges go away, which would have been a hell of a lot easier than committing a murder in federal prison. So I think that I would like to know why Trump is not releasing the information. Maybe you've got some thoughts on that I'll agree with, but that's basically my thoughts on Epstein.
All right. Well, I think Epstein did not kill himself. I think he was murdered. I think if you watch the video of the pathologist, the famous pathologist, Dr. Baden.
Dr. Baden, he's testified and given interviews about a lot of things. I think Dr. Michael Baden is his name. Yeah. I think he's a lunatic. But go ahead.
Well, supposedly he reviewed or was involved with this autopsy somehow and said it was consistent of a murder, but you're saying he's a lunatic. Okay. That's one thing. I already talked about the inconsistencies of the security. It's just, that is either gross incompetence or the biggest bumblefuck of all time. the stars lined up perfectly. Like, why did he decide to kill himself at that moment in time when the camera's not working and the security guards leave? Why then? Why not 3 o'clock in the morning or lunchtime? Why did he do it right when the security guards left? It's just weird. I happen to think that he might even still be alive, and he did maybe. Now this might sound crazy. You're gonna laugh. He did like a face-off type of thing. Remember that movie John Travolta with was it Kurt Russell? No, John Travolta was in it. They switched faces or whatever. I think he had some plastic surgery. I think he's in the Mediterranean on a yacht.
Okay, so hold on. On one hand, you think there's substantial evidence that his death was a murder, not a suicide, but you also think he's still alive?
One of those two, yeah. He's either alive, maybe Dr. Bodden is paid off and he said that he was murdered, but he did say he was murdered. Or, yeah, he got out of his cell and he got away. Yeah. Yeah, that was Travolta and Nick Cage. The movie was called Face Off.
I'm having trouble reconciling your two opinions here.
Long story short, that's probably far-fetched. Long story short, he was either murdered or he's still alive. I think the least possible thing is that he killed himself, in my opinion. It's the least possible outcome based on where he was at, what that unit is designed to do, keep you from killing yourself with, you don't have the bed sheets, you don't have the clothing, like you basically have like this mattress that you lay on with a pillow that you can't. It's just impossible. There's not enough clearance for him to hang himself.
How do you know? I mean, how do you know?
That's the way the cell's designed. I researched it.
Well, you can hang yourself. You don't need a ceiling to hang yourself. You can hang yourself. All you need to do is cut off airflow at your neck. And I haven't read how he did it, but I think he's probably a resourceful man. Probably could have found a way. I'm going to bring back this to the Kennedy assassination. The idea that Kennedy had to be killed so that we could go into Vietnam or something. And
oh yeah, military-industrial complex at the time, that was big after World War II.
Yeah, but I get that. But my point is, if you want to get rid of Kennedy so that we can go into Vietnam and the all-powerful military-industrial complex, which I agree is too powerful, so that they can take over and we can spend a decade or more in Vietnam and Southeast Asia and do whatever. You don't jeopardize. I mean, think how many people's lives would have been jeopardized had this alleged conspiracy to kill Kennedy gone bad and had been uncovered. I mean, you're talking about many people who would have been either, life in prison, or if he had actually died, I think, face the death penalty themselves. When all they had to do was manufacture some controversy and get Kennedy removed from office. It's a hell of a lot easier to get a president removed from office, especially one that was only elected because his father rigged the election in Illinois.
Well, that's where I was going to elaborate to. The Chicago Mafia made that happen with Old Man Daley, and favors were not returned. And then later on, that's why his brother got assassinated, because he actually went after the Mafia. But, you have that. I talked about the military-industrial complex, but you have the domino effect of the spread of communism. That's what they used to develop all these weapons. That was the excuse. Let's stop the spread of communism. And Kennedy wanted to pull troops out. I think the first advisors were sent there by Eisenhower, and then who was the second? Who was the president after Ike?
Kennedy.
It was Kennedy. Okay. So Kennedy wanted to withdraw troops out. LBJ he really progressed the war after he was assassinated. JFK was assassinated.
You're assuming Kennedy would not have eventually relented and stopped the communists. I mean, you can say he wanted to do this. What politicians say and what they actually do are very different.
Well, MacArthur wanted to do a lot more than that. And, you had the Bay of Pigs where they were pissed at him for that because he wasn't too aggressive enough with the Bay of Pigs. I don't know.
The reason, okay. the reason.
But look, there were more than there. Listen, I've seen a lot of different interviews. The mafia was involved with that shooting. There was a guy in a sewer that shot him from the front. His brain. I mean, come on. There's no magic bullet that his brain. And the car's going this way, and Oswald's in the book. There's no way. I mean, it didn't happen.
Yeah, yes, it did. It absolutely did. I mean, yes, there is. It's been demonstrated scientifically what happened, and the bits and pieces that people like. I know some, like, when you I can tell you've got your mind made up on this, and I could present irrefutable proof, and you wouldn't. But let's look at this one thing, that the magic bullet, this nearly intact, which, by the way, it was not nearly intact. There was clear damage to this, quote, magic bullet. Think about what you're suggesting, okay? That bullet was planted after the fact and blah, blah, blah.
There were 3 shooters that day.
Why? Why would you have 3 shooters to kill one person? Why? And you're risking 3 people get caught or videotaped? Like, think about that for a minute.
There were multiple different factions involved. I mean, what's his name was the fall guy? Oswald. No. He was the fall guy. He was an idiot.
This is what happened. Lee Harvey Oswald had accomplished essentially nothing in his life. He was a born loser. And he got very lucky in that on a day that he was at work, the presidential motorcade happened to be coming right by where he worked. And he took a shot, and it worked. And that's it. I mean, that is what happened. And the reason.
Where did he take that shot from?
What's that?
Where did he take that shot from?
From the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, which if you've ever been in Dealey Plaza, hold on a second. Let me make this point. I've been in Dealey Plaza, which is where Kennedy was shot.
All right.
I started researching the Kennedy assassination in the 1990s when I was in high school, because I saw the movie JFK. So I'm not saying I know more than you or whatever, but I know a lot more than the average person does. I mean, people who have dedicated their lives and written books, yeah, they know more than me, but I know a lot about this. And when I went to Dealey Plaza, I was stunned by how small that area is. I am very confident that my 13-year-old daughter, who has a gun with a high-powered scope like Oswald had on his bolt-action rifle, if she practiced for a couple of months, she probably could have made that same shot that Oswald made. It is not.
At the time, there was a tree, and the car was going in. It wasn't coming towards him. The car was moving away from him while he shot, correct?
Yes.
How does your head go back and then your brain go almost fly off the back of the car?
The answer, first of all,
it's physics.
I feel like you've watched the Zapruder film, but you're only seeing what you want to see. It is very obvious. If you don't even have to slow it down. The exit wound on Kennedy's head, it comes from his right here. Okay, that's where you actually see his skull and scalp go like this. You don't even have to. Hold on, let me make this point. You don't even have to slow the video down to see this. It is very apparent. Okay, that happened because the bullet came in right here, the upper right back of Kennedy's head. When the scalp flies open, because the bullet is exiting from the front of his head, there is brain matter attached to the inside of that scalp. The scalp was ripped open with such force that brain matter, when the scalp went like this, flew backwards, because that's the way the scalp went. Again, you can see this with the naked eye without even slowing down the video. Some of the brain matter exited like that, and then ended up behind Kennedy. Lots of brain and blood matter went in the front of the limousine. The bullet fragment from that bullet was found in 3 different pieces in the front of the limousine, because it exited Kennedy's head in the right front, and that's where the bullet ended up. The, quote, magic bullet, which conducted all those wounds, went in Kennedy's upper back, exited his throat, and then went into Governor Connolly, who was seated right in front of Kennedy, and was found on a gurney at the hospital that Governor Connolly had been on. It just didn't, it didn't break into pieces. It hit soft tissue, caused some minor bone damage, but That's where now let's focus on that for a minute. The theory has been that intact bullet, which was fired from Oswald's rifle, was somehow planted after the fact. But the people who allegedly were conducting this alleged conspiracy, how would they have known where to plant it? You see what I'm saying? Like, they didn't know. The idea is that there was all this chaos and they somehow guessed correctly as to where to put this magic bullet. Like the conspiracy theory, if you go from step A to B to C to D all the way to Z, it doesn't make any sense at all. What makes by far the most sense is that Lee Harvey Oswald fired 3 shots. By the way, this horse racing show is was about Epstein and horses. Now we're talking about Kennedy. Oswald fired 3 shots. He fired 3 shots. One of them hit Kennedy in the head. It wasn't, if you talk to people who are known riflemen, they say, oh, we got lucky. It wasn't that hard of a shot. He had a high-powered rifle, and it wasn't that, and the limo had slowed down, which it had, because they heard gunshots and there was chaos. And Kennedy, by that point, had been hit. I mean, think about this. You're the driver of the limousine. You're just going through a stroll through Dallas. Kennedy had already been shot in the back, and the bullet had exited his throat, and Connolly had been hit by this point. So, yes, the driver's like, what the hell's going on? He doesn't know what's going on. He's hearing noises. And there's also a theory that the driver of the limousine shot Kennedy, which is just moronic. And no one wants to believe that somebody like Lee Harvey Oswald, a born loser, could pull something like this off. What's so embarrassing about it, and the reason there was so much information withheld and that there appeared to be some shenanigans going on, is because not only was the FBI monitoring Oswald after his return from Russia, but they also knew he had gone to the Russian embassy in Mexico. The CIA knew that he had gone there in an attempt to get back to Russia through Cuba. So he had gone to Mexico City, met at the Cuban embassy. The CIA knew that he had done this. He may have even said, while at the Cuban embassy, I'm going to kill Kennedy. And then American law enforcement allowed him to go back to a building that was right next to where the motorcade was passing. Now, if you wanted to say this, if your theory was that American law enforcement, whether it's the FBI or the CIA or whomever, that they knew there's a chance this Oswald guy might take a shot at Kennedy, why don't we just see what happens? I might believe that. I might actually believe that there's some evidence there. But the idea that there were multiple shooters for some reason, that's just not what you do. You don't enhance the risk that you're going to be uncovered or caught by having 3 gunmen there. Why would you do to kill one guy? That's insane. What if they had all made their shots and Kennedy had wounds in his head from 3 different angles? Then what? Like,
hey, look, I shared a link. Okay. Gianni Russo, ties with the mafia, gave his story. I think LBJ was somehow involved with the mafia, CIA. I think it was the way this ties in is I would like to see those files released as well.
They are released. They've been released.
Yeah, but there's a lot of redacted stuff, and we haven't really gotten to the bottom of it.
Because and it's now obvious, because I'll be honest, I didn't read all those files. By the way, let me just press pause. How many viewers do we have right now? How many people are sitting through this talk about Epstein and Kennedy?
We got 51 right now.
Okay, I'm surprised it's not. I'm surprised it's not 6, but that's okay. 51, a good number. You don't. If you're going to carry something out, you don't increase the likelihood that you're going to be caught by adding more people to the mix. There's a saying that 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead. You're not going to have. Also, multiple people over the years, crackpots, have claimed to have been involved in the conspiracy or uncovered evidence. Nothing ever shakes out. There's nothing there. It was Oswald, and he got lucky.
What was the motive? What was Oswald? He just woke up one day and said, "Hey, I want to shoot the president."
Same motive he had for attempting an assassination on I believe it was an army general months earlier with the same rifle. His involvement in that wasn't uncovered until they did the ballistics examination of the gun found on the 6th floor of the schoolbook depository, the gun that killed Kennedy, they then found, oh, well, the bullet that almost hit this general in Texas, I forget his name, but it'll take you 30 seconds to figure it out. Oswald had tried to kill that guy. Oswald felt like an unaccomplished loser that never got the recognition. When he flew back from the Soviet Union to the United States, he defected to Russia, then they didn't care about it. He thought, let's back up. Oswald thought when he defected to Russia that he was going to be treated like a hero and that the Russians were going to love what he had to say. So they welcomed him in and they realized that he was a nobody. So what did they do? They gave him a meaningless job at a radio factory in Minsk. And he realized that he was not as important as he thought he was. So he's like, I'm going to go back to America. And he got back to, when the plane landed, he expected there to be all kinds of journalists there to meet him. And there was no one there. And he said to someone, it might have been his brother, I forget who it was, but he said, where's the press? And the person he was with said, nobody cares. He was a nobody and he was tired of being a nobody. And, had delusions of grandeur. That famous picture of him in the backyard of the house he was living in, holding the rifle. And he's got those two pamphlets, those two they're like communist newsletters or whatever. He was so dumb. Those two communist newsletters were in conflict with each other. It's the equivalent of someone standing in their backyard holding up a sign for the Republican National Committee and the Democrat National Committee and saying, I'm a capitalist. Look, it's like Oswald was a moron and he was unaccomplished and a nobody. And that's sometimes what happens. And the FBI and the CIA completely dropped the ball. They didn't take him seriously. And they were embarrassed that their neglect led to an American president being assassinated in broad daylight. So all the cover-ups, all the things that were redacted, in large part, it was because of that. That's why.
Back to Epstein. By the way, I guess some people saying I look like Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, you do. Your hair. You got great hair like Matt Gaetz.
I laugh every time I hear it. Anyway, he canceled his event today with Charlie Kirk, and apparently he's going to Washington. So I know he's been pretty vocal about the Epstein files, and this little article here saying, hey, is he going to be tapped as, a special prosecutor? This is from the New York Post. 6 years ago, Trump barred Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago over sex assault. I guess Epstein was messing around with one of the club members' daughters, and Trump kicked him out. So that's been documented. As far as Epstein, I think Pam Bondi really dropped the ball on this thing. Her and Kash Patel talked a big game. Dan Bongino looked like somebody shot his dog when he had to sit there at an interview and say, he's dead, he committed suicide. He just looked like he was lying, or was forced to say something. And I like Dan Bongino, and you've heard the rumors, like he's at odds with Pam Bondi and was thinking about stepping down. I don't know how true that is, but
yeah,
we'll see what happens. And by the way, this is the 1-year anniversary of Trump's assassination attempt.
Yes, the 13th. I know. I remember it well. We all do. I was at the airport in Orlando, about to fly to. Sorry, my wife sent me a text here. About to go up to DC to visit some friends, and I remember it very well. And taking candy on this day 1 year ago at Saratoga.
I love these little tidbits. Wimbledon pick Stevie D. I think Sinner is going to. Alcaraz won 2 years in a row over there, beat Djokovic in a 5-setter 2 years ago, and then won pretty easy last year against Djokovic in the final. But I think Sinner is just on top of his game. I think he's going to turn the tables on Alcaraz today.
Is today today's the men's final?
Today's the men's final. Will I be at Hawthorne today? Yes, I will be. feel free to join in. I think we'll talk about those races in a little bit. I think we're going to say cheese in at least one of them. And finally, we could do a little field trip. We can go to the NHC, Lone Star NHC, the Dealey Plaza, and then coffee with Dew. That would be great.
When is the Lone Star qualifier?
They have, I don't know. They just had 2 of them, didn't they?
Boy, I'm sorry.
Probably,
So I just looked up I'm changing subjects. The women's final was won 6-0, 6-0 in Wimbledon.
the Polish princess, man, she dominated. 6. I've never seen that score before. 6-love, 6-love. That's 2 donuts, which are hard to.
How is she the 8th seed?
Yeah, I don't know. I think she. I don't follow women's tennis as close as the men's. I'm sure Rich would know a little bit more about women's tennis.
Yeah, Rich follows all the women's sports.
But I follow her, the Polish princess, I call her. She's really good, and she's been ranked 1, 2 a lot. She might have got injured or maybe missed a couple events, and it goes by points. So even if you're the best player, if you miss tournaments, you're going to miss out on points. Hence, you won't have the seeding, the higher seeding. But yeah, 6-love, 6-love. That's pretty incredible. I think that was the first time it was done in like 114 years.
Yeah, I think it said 1911.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So horse racing. Do we want Epstein? Just final thought. Long story short, I think the Trump administration and everybody involved kind of built this thing up, and then Trump said, "Why are we talking about it?" Everybody wants to know. He's acting like nobody wants to know about this. A lot of people want to know about it. MAGA wants to know about it. And I think we need some better closure to this thing and a little bit more of an open book on it. And I'll just leave it at that, and we'll see where the chips fall. I mean, you think he committed suicide? I think there was foul play. There is a list, and there were kids involved. We didn't even talk about Guffrey, the gal that I think she got hit by a car. So I don't know. She just died recently, but that's, we could talk about this all day.
By the way, you mentioned Matt Gaetz. A quick thing. I got to connect. I have a very, very loose connection here. So Matt Gaetz was implicated in his own sex scandal.
He was.
Yes. And the guy who went to prison for that is a guy named Joel Greenberg, who was the Seminole County, where I live, Seminole County, Florida tax collector, and was involved in things like human trafficking, allegedly prostitution, stealing money from the Seminole County coffers for buying cryptocurrency or whatever. His name is Joel Greenberg. It's well known. He's in prison. He's a Floridian, just like Matt Gaetz is a Floridian. Well, you remember the house I used to live on the lake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you stayed there.
Nick the kid told me all about that. He called me this morning.
Wait, told you about what? My lake house?
Yeah, he said he said he follows you on white pages or yellow pages.
Okay.
And he said something about Forest City and then wherever you're at now.
Okay.
So yeah, Nick the kid says hi. There's this picture.
Why is Nick? Okay, I'm okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Let me. So let's finish the story. We'll get back to Nick the kid.
Yeah.
So when you walk, I remember you walked up on the top of our boathouse and you looked across the lake. Well, the house that you were looking at is owned. Follow me here, by the parents of Joel Greenberg.
There we go.
The guy who was in cahoots with Matt Gaetz and is currently in prison. Well, my family, my daughters and my wife are turning our house into a fucking petting zoo. And we had a couple of tortoises.
Oh boy.
And one of them got away back when we lived on that lake house, and we never knew what happened to it. It was a little bitty tortoise. Anyway, a girl posted on Facebook, "Hey, we found a tortoise here over on Bear Lake," which is the lake that I lived on. And I exchanged pictures. I want to see if it was our tortoise. It was not, but we went and adopted it anyway. The woman who found that tortoise is the ex-wife of Joel Greenberg.
Oh boy.
Okay. And
Okay.
she was over at her in-laws' house. So Joel Greenberg in prison. The girl name is Abby Greenberg. She's lovely. She's a real estate agent. I never met her, but I have talked to her online. She and her kids found this tortoise at her in-laws' house. I went over there and got it. I met the parents of this Joel Greenberg guy. Super nice people. Lovely house. Way nicer than mine on the lake, by the way. I mean, I had a decent house on the lake. They have a nice ass house. But anyway, we now have 2 tortoises in our backyard. One of them was in the possession of the Greenberg family, whose son / ex-husband is Joel Greenberg, who's in prison and was in cahoots with Matt Gaetz. Now, let's get back to Nick the Kid. What does he know about me?
All right, he calls me and he's like, "Hey, your show's starting in 10 minutes." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, Nick." And he's like, "Yeah, Justin's. I follow him on the white pages."
Okay.
He moved from Forest City or to Forest City from some other county. So I'm like, Nick, yeah, that's good. What does that have to do with the show or something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
But I thought that was funny.
Yeah, the lake that we lived on, which you visited, it's called Bear Lake. It's in it's in unincorporated Seminole County, but it's kind of unofficially known as Forest City.
Yeah,
but it's Forest City's. It's a real place, but nobody ever calls it that. It's just sort of like a technicality. Anyway, and then we sold that house a little over a year ago, and I still stayed within Seminole County. I still live in unincorporated Seminole County. Our mailing address is Longwood for anyone that cares.
Yeah, this is Tony V. After shooting Oswald, Jack Rubenstein. Is that his real name? Ruby was short.
Yeah.
I did it for the people.
Yeah,
like
Jack Ruby. His real name is Jack Rubenstein.
All right.
All this Israel talk is.
And then Epstein was a Mossad operation. Who knows how many politicians and oligarchs are.
Okay, let's get to horses. But why does Nick the Kid research where I live exactly?
I think he does that for a hobby. I don't know. He does that with. I think he flagged down Rich Nielsen.
Yeah, this is troubling.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to talk about? I know you got some family horses. Should we get into my quick opinion at Ellis Park and then get into the Simonovich family horses?
Yeah, let's talk about Ellis Park. And did you have anything at Saratoga today too?
No, because they're off the turf. They're off the turf except for one race. I think is staying on.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything at Saratoga, but I do have an interesting double at Ellis Park, and the meat of the double is actually in race 3. It's race 2 into race 3, but race 3 is the opinion here. So there's going to be a scratch in here. Number 3, Tall Boy, is out. Okay. That's going to affect the odds on everything. I'm going to check Kevin Kirstein here and see if there has been any update to the scratches at Ellis today. And I guess they're just not out yet. So that's kind of that's suboptimal. But he did have the early scratches last night, and I do know that in race 3. Number 3, Tall Boy, is out. That means we'll have a field of at most 5. The early speed is going to be the 1, St. Armand's Key, Mike Maker.
Yeah.
First off the claim, an $80,000 claim. This horse, I don't want to get too carried away with things like this. This horse has 3 wins, all 3 at the fairgrounds. That doesn't mean the horse can't run well anywhere else. Has also had trips of death and other suboptimal trips throughout the career, breaking from the rail, going to be on the lead. I wonder if the 6 odd G's optics, and if Emily is watching, she can comment. She'll tell me I'm wrong. Optics seems to suggest that maybe the 6 might be forward-ish, but I think the 1's going to be on the lead. I think the 2, Noises Off, is going to get the dream trip. Okay. Has run well at Ellis before, does have a win here, has tried some tougher company recently. It's Paulo Lobo. It's off the layoff. I think number 2, Noises Off, is going to sit on the rail behind the 1, hopefully not doing anything stupid like doing that absurd, oh, let's voluntarily go into a trip of death when we don't have to. Certainly going to be ahead of the other horses that have late kick in here. I think the 2 Noises Off gets first run on St. Armand's Key, and I'm going to say is the most likely winner of the race and will not be favored. Okay. So in terms of what price we get on Noises Off, 9-2 on the morning line, but with a scratch of the second choice, Tall Boy, who was 7-2 on the morning line, I think we're probably looking at more like 3-1 on Noises Off. And
I was gonna. Here's my take. Well, first of all, Maker takes over from Joe Sharp. Joe Sharp's a good trainer, and Maker's a good trainer, so it's kind of a lateral move. Percentage-wise, Sharp a little bit better, surprisingly. Boy, that last race was a bang-out race. I mean, that was a fast race. If you look at the internal time form numbers here, and just missed. And there's really not a lot of speed. Now, the thing with Noises Off, we haven't seen it since December. I'm wondering if they're using this race as a prep
for Kentucky Downs. That would
Kentucky Downs, because look at the Kentucky Downs races.
I know.
Has run its 2 fastest races of its career there.
Buyer wise, yeah.
It broke its maiden there by 6, and that race on September 1st last year, I guarantee you that was like $100,000 purse plus 150. Who knows? And look who it lost to Goliad. I mean, that's a nice horse. So that's my only thing I'm worried about. Is just kind of like, hey, let's protect the horse here. Let's just get our legs underneath ourselves, get a race under our belt, and then be optimal for Kentucky Downs.
I think that's a very, very logical approach. The only thing I'll say is this horse did have a win in January of 2024 off a little bit of a layoff, end of September to start of January, has run well enough fresh. This is only the second start since October. I get it. But I just think positionally, here's something that has not worked for me. And lately, sometimes things work, a lot of times they don't. But worrying about things like layoffs and so forth, I think I guess wrong on the importance of that far too often. So I'm inclined to just say, I think the horse is going to get a trip. The horse has been in training regularly, and there were some gaps, but nothing too big recently. Pretty steadily in training since like April. So are they using it as a prep for Kentucky Downs? I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't at all. I just think that you're going to get a trip today on a horse who's going to get the first run on the other horses with strong late kick. I think that's the horse that makes sense. They got some rain yesterday. I know that the track had been, the turf course at Ellis had been like pavement. You had horses going to the front and just not stopping.
Was this horse ever entered anywhere else? I mean, how this horse has worked 13 times since its last race.
You know what? I'm embarrassed that I didn't even look that up myself.
But that's like crazy.
All right,
13 works
off. Yes, was entered on May 29th at Churchill Downs and was scratched.
Okay.
I don't know. I could probably take a minute and look up and see why, if that was, it didn't look like it went off the turf. So was scratched on May 29th.
Okay. I guess that makes sense, especially with the workout pattern, maybe a small little thing. But man, yeah, it should be ready to go off the bench here. I I think it's obvious the 1 and the 2 here. Because the 1 should get the lead, right? And should walk
Yeah.
like
Look, I mean, I think those are the two. I kind of left this out. I'm against the 5 degree of risk, who I think is just a consummate underachiever. I've played this horse before. Granted, he stepped up and had a win where I really wasn't expecting it, where I took a big stand against him. That was the February win for degree of risk, where I'm like, this horse is just an underachiever. The last 2 were Lasix off and now gets Lasix back on. I just think degree of risk is an underachiever. And Tap It Shoes, I don't think is going to be able to stay in contact, frankly. I think they're, this one's just going to find himself with too much to do late.
yeah.
They've been running him at longer distances. He had he's got a win on the turf. His lone win on the turf was at 1.125 miles. And that was it. Look at they went really slow in there. They went 114 to 3/4. So I think was able to just remain in contact. I don't think Tap It Shoes does that today. I already said him against the 5. Odd G's, I could see losing some ground. I think it just comes down to the 2 and the 1, and Noise is off. I think is going to get the better trip, and it's going to be a race to the finish. And I think the 2 gets up to win. That's my take.
All right, I like it. We're going to get.
Yeah, let's go back to race 2.
What price do you think we're going to get on the 2, considering the scratch of the 3?
I think 3 to 1, which is why I'm going to try to make it a double, starting in race 2 with the horse that is 2 to 1 on the morning line, but I bet will be a lower price than that.
Okay.
The 3 Duke of Duval. For starters, you've got the 1 Mike Maker, who's again from the rail. He Maker breaks from the rail 2 races in a row. You pointed out a long time ago, Steve-O, that horses breaking from the rail at the 1.5 mile, it's a bad spot. And I just think you could see a scenario here where Duke of Duval is maybe going to get the lead, maybe, or maybe not. But time form suggests that Duke of Duval has the best late kick in the field, and going to be forwardly placed, if not on the lead, certainly forward. And I just think is better than these. I didn't look at time at Thorograph or Ragozin or anything, but consistently on the buyer scale, this one is faster.
Mm-hmm.
I just think is.
Yeah, it should show a lot more speed today. That last race off the bench was really quick early. I mean, they went 45 flat, 1 turn mile at Churchill. So, I mean, 45 flat is 45 flat. I don't care. I mean, the track bias was only a 13, so couldn't have been blazing fast that day. That's just insane. And he was only a length and a half out when they went 109 and change there. So, he should be more forwardly placed today.
Yeah, I just think Duke of Duval is probably the best horse. Best horse doesn't always win, but I think there was somewhere in the running lines I saw some major key races. Yeah, the race at Keeneland, 2 back produced.
Oh, he got Bernard.
3 next out winners. Yeah. So I just think there's ability here. I think Duke of Duval breaks the maiden today, and we're going to try to get a little better price to Noises off with a cold 3-2 3-2 in race 2 at Ellis.
32. All right, I like that. We have 2 other turf races. There's a maiden mile race. I don't know if you look at that one, because I know you typically don't like the turf sprints as much.
Yeah, I don't. But I've got another opinion on a horse in race 7 at Ellis today.
Okay, maiden special weight.
Yeah, this is not a one of those opinions that I think I'm going to necessarily take to the bank. My opinion is that the number 3 Paris Surprise is again an underachiever. We got an 0 for 9 maiden with 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he's been running against some good ones. Okay. Oscar Season, who I'm a big fan of. In fact, I'm going to look up right now and see when Oscar season last race. It was okay, yeah. That was the way they ran that one too far. But I'm a big fan of Oscar season. So there are some good horses in the running lines of number 3, Paris Surprise here. Abramar is another. Some key races there. I just think this horse is going to get absolutely hammered. And I think the goal here, try to find something to beat Paris Surprise. Now, where you land here, I don't exactly know, because I haven't dug into the race. I just kind of gave it the old fashioned once over. You know, the Joe Sharp, the 5 Western Run might be a little interesting.
Yeah, it looks like it had a little bit of.
Yeah.
Boy, it just got away from the jock last time.
It was breaking from post 12. They sent the horse didn't slow down. The horse is capable of better. That one is potentially interesting. I don't think we'll take a ton of money. You have a first-time starter for Jeremiah O'Dwyer out of a dam named Lady Junebug, who produced 5 horses to race. None of them won on debut. So I don't really think anything there. You got the 1 Frankie's Boy who debuted at Belterra. Couldn't do much. Will probably improve, but I don't know that puts it at that level. The 4 Restless Renegade. It's McPeak on the turf. He's 7% on the turf. I don't associate him with, greatness. The dam. I've heard of Restless Rider. How do I know Restless? Yeah, Restless Rider. Oh, that's interesting. Interesting.
Yeah. Great one, dirt horse, but still, no sibling, just one other sibling that didn't do much, but
won the Alcibiades, I remember, and then I think I you know what, I played Restless Rider, I think in the Breeders' Cup, if I remember correctly. Hasn't come back and didn't come back and do a whole heck of a lot, but now we've got a first. Oh, I ended. Boy, that's a well-bred racehorse. Restless Rider's 2 babies are all yet to win. Western, I don't know. I would say my suggestion for this race, pick something to beat the 3, who I think is a chronic underachiever.
Well, the connections aren't very good on this one at all. But you do have a full brother that has won multiple turf races routing. I believe it won multiple races. Let me see this one here. Normandy Crossing. Yes, it's here we go. Yeah, it's one on synthetic turf. But anyway, it's a full sibling, and it's you have to look at people in this game too. It's not just the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario Gutierrez with Jerome Miller isn't a recipe for success, but the horse does look intriguing just with that little tidbit on the page, and it should be forwardly placed.
This 7 Free Spin off a layoff for Riley Mott. Beat more than half the field. Well, he comes out of those restricted races in Kentucky. I don't think there doesn't look to be a whole heck of a lot there.
Yeah. Adding the hood. I mean,
this 8, first off the claim. So $50,000 claim by Joe Sharp off of Brad Cox on this 8 horse. Debuted.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Debuted at Oaklawn. Outside post.
Ran against Faust. That was a decent race. I remember I was on Faust the day he won. I had so many trip notes on that horse, and he finally got it done. But getting turf. I don't know this one. He claims it. He runs it here. It's out of a tap at mare.
I would my inclination here is to try to get the 5 and the 6.
Got a stakes winner on turf, a sibling, routing, Circle of Trust, won the Grade 3 Honeymoon at Santa Anita. So it's a nice little half sibling for the 8 there.
Yeah. You're not
I don't
wrong.
know. You know, when you're looking at these races, you're looking at breeding, but you want to know what kind of trainers can win a race like this. Joe Sharp could win a race like this. Riley
I mean,
Mott.
you know what? I'm going to look something up in Formulator. I'm going to look at Brad Cox first off claimed from. So I'm going to pull that up. Trainer changes first after claimed from Brad Cox. Horses are, drum roll please, Formula 14%.
Okay.
14% are horses first after claimed from Brad Cox.
It's just average, okay number. Nothing to write home about, nothing terrible. You know.
And then you combine that with Joe Sharp first after claimed by, he's 23%.
Now here's the thing: he's got Lake Peru on this one. He's got a jock he uses more on the 5. Who, you know, you throw the dirt race out. Weird trip last time, the Tampa Bay in the debut. The Tampa Bay races don't look too bad.
Dead limit Vivaldi. I thought Vivaldi has one since. Nope.
But is the 5 turning in to the 3? You know.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's reasonable. I mean, if you read the trouble lines for this horse, I mean, start with the first 4 races. If you go start with 2 back, you got bumped to the brake, stumbled, ease. Then you got pulled 3 wide. Then you got checked sharp, blocked. Then you got bobbled. This 5 has had tons of trouble. I haven't watched any of the replays.
Right.
I mean, they're Tampa. I'm sure I bet those races, but yeah, I would say the 5 and maybe respect Brendan Walsh on the 6. You got another troubled race in the golf 6. I would say let's try to get 5, 6 into the exacta, you know, and try to beat the 3.
I'm with you on the 5, and for the trifecta, I am gonna throw the 1 underneath, but I'm also gonna throw in the 8.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
And you know, play with that a little bit and see what it's a maiden race. It's intriguing. I think we might be able to get lucky, but I think you're right. We definitely need to try and beat the 3 horse here.
Yeah, I know this horse. He ran. I'm trying to remember the race where I think. Okay, here's what happened. It was the December 2023 race where he lost to Abrumar, and I played this horse back a couple of times, thinking he was going to do it. And then he ran well against Oscar Season in the Kentucky Downs race, and I became even more of a fan. And he's just been.
It's got 5 seconds and 9 starts, so yeah, he's been a heartbreaker.
You know what? Truth is, he'll probably win today. But you know, I just think this horse has demonstrated a need for a cardiologist. He's got a heart problem, and I think the 5 might be interesting. You know, Western Run broke from post 12 of 12 going a mile and 16th at Churchill last time. I think they're like, you know, we got to send. We don't want to get caught wide, so they sent, and it's just Keen 4 wide. You know, I'm guessing didn't take the lead until probably the back stretch, and I would guess this horse was in a trip of death position for, you know, the opening quarter mile of the race. So you can draw a line through it. I think before that it was dirt. Then you had a mile and an eighth at Tampa, and again was pulling, lost to a next out winner, and Vivaldi as well, who has run well since, I think twice. Let me see, from March 7th. Yeah, Vivaldi's run really well twice for Chad Brown since that day. So that horse is, a legit racehorse. Yeah, that's the play. Maybe just a win bet on the 5. Maybe leave the 6 out of it and just go for
the 6 is not intriguing enough for me. I thought it had a pretty fast pace to run into and kind of made a little move and flattened out. Didn't really run as well as I thought it should have. So I'm gonna try and beat the 2 favorites. I like the 5.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have the 1 and the outside horse in there as well underneath with something else, and for a trifecta, maybe I'll do like a $5 tri key and try and hit that 10 times, and then put like a win bet on the 5. I think that's the play in this race.
Yeah.
All right. You want me to look at Hawthorne family horses?
I want to talk about family horses next. And what I want is I want you to dig deep here, and I want you to just tell me which ones I should bet, and let's not have a repeat of the Lamplighter Jack episode, which we talked about. But I just want to know what to play, Steve-O.
Yeah, I apologize several times.
You already apologized, man. We beat that dead horse.
That was bad. I had, like I said, the family. We talked about it. The gutters.
Yeah, the gutters. My God, the gutters.
Oh man! And then, by the way, yesterday, man, Rich Nielsen gives out a pick on his Patreon group. I was actually doing really well yesterday. I had a 7-to-1 shot, 6-to-1 shot at Saratoga and Gulfstream, and just messing around playing $20 bets. I made like $500 betting $20 and stuff. But I completely missed Rich's pick yesterday at 11-to-1 in that sprint. It was that Safi.
Yeah.
That I think it eased, and it had another bad race, and then.
Well, the horse was 4 for 4 at 7 furlongs, and now it gets 7 furlongs. Yeah.
And it made sense because Safi's not going to run that horse there, protected if it's not ready to roll at Saratoga. So it was a good pick by Rich, and I completely missed that one. But anyway, if you go to race 3 at Hawthorne, we have a horse named after my oldest niece, my dad's first grandchild, Illy for short, Illy Sims. And Illy Sims is a Florida bred. I don't know I forgot how my dad got this horse. Maybe it was part of a package deal, or maybe he bought the horse at this auction. I can't remember, but we ran this horse at Oaklawn, and ran a couple of good races for a tag. We ran it for 30 because that was the only race available at the end of the. No, it wasn't the end of the meet, but it was the only race available at the time, and something went awry there. My brother Danny's wrenched on it, and we got it in a spot. I mean, it was 86-to-1 over there. Any of these horses that won these races would pretty much crush this field. But she's doing really well. We added some muscle, and she's breaking from the rail, which I've had disagreements with Dylan Donnelly on this. He loves the rail no matter if it's a sprint or a route. I like the rail if you're in a route. I don't so much if it's a sprint, but he's like, hey, if you got the horse and you break well, it's the best spot to be in. So I'm like, all right, you're right, maybe. I'm not going to challenge Dylan Donnelly. But I think we're just going to move from the rail pretty sharp here. And then if you look at the rest of the field, this one isn't much. This is a 0 for 19 with 1 second. Has done its best running routing. It's 4-to-1 in here. That tells you how bad the field is. You have a Joe Campbell, who we know this horse. Safe Cracker Sue beat this horse, a horse that we own 2 back. This will be your favorite. Sharp Attack has a little bit of speed. And then I don't know what to make out of this this horse from the outside, but it's an Illinois bred that didn't run a lick. So I don't put much stock into the Illinois breeding program right now. It's not what it was 20 years ago. So I think we just break sharp out of there and, just settle on the rail. If it gets too spicy, sit third, second, but just save ground and then, fire home. She's doing well and can definitely win this race. She's 7-2, and I expect her to run well.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like you got that 5, James DeVito coming out of the waiver claiming.
Yeah, that one's going to take a lot of money too, because second off the layoff, speed fade. The way this might look, it probably looks like Joe Campbell, and that one might hook up early. And maybe we can get a garden trip.
Are you going to be on the turf today?
Yeah, we'll be on the turf. It's going to be sunny. I think we're in the last two races. We have the two Sioux. These horses, yeah, these horses are named after my mom.
And we have an all turf route, all Simonovich late double.
Yeah, so Safe Cracker Sue. We're getting this one back on turf. She finally broke her maiden in that race I showed you. We didn't watch the replay, but she beat a common foe that Illy Sims is running against. That was only a 3-horse field. There were some scratches, and she was able to take over and just win rather easily that day. She's feeling good. We're gonna, obviously we're gonna send her and go right to the front in this race. Looking at the speed, I mean, the one stretching out didn't show a lot of speed at Indiana when it went 2 turns over there. So I just don't know what to make of that, if it's going to show a ton of speed or not. Time form would suggest it would, especially from the rail. I know the Manny Perez horse is usually pretty speedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we want to do, and then the 7 is going to be obvious favorite for Chris Block with Mojica. Second off the layoff here. And, was the disappointing beaten favorite that day, but that was a other than. Now it's dropping, down in for a tag. So this one should be taking a lot of money here. I don't know what to make of Safe Cracker. I know that she is, that last race was impressive. Here's a Ravelli runner, but this one's stretching out.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to get the Lamplighter trip that you saw
when
I showed you that replay last week.
Yep. Amazing trip. Perfect trip.
Yeah, break, get to the rail. You should get to the rail. And let some of these other speed, maybe the Ravelli and one of the other ones, the Manny Perez horse, kind of knock heads, and we get first runs on the Chris Block runner.
I think that makes a ton of sense. Let me ask the most important question. What is Davey Crowley going to be betting today?
Well, David Crowley, I got to tell you, he caught one of the worst. He told me he went to the hospital, and the doctors are like, "Oh, we've never seen this before." I'm like, "What is it, COVID or something?" They're like, "Oh, they don't know." I'm like, "What do you mean they don't know?" So he's been sick for like 10 days. What's today? Today's the
13th.
Yeah. He went to the race against Lamplighter, when Lamplighter Jack won. That was on the 3rd. He was feeling off that night, and ever since he's been homesick. So he won't be attending the track today.
What without grossing anybody out, what are the symptoms?
He's got it's kind of like COVID, real lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
He's got eye infection, ear infection, throat infection, or some shit. Yeah. So they put him on some antibiotics. I don't know where he's at. My dad talked to him yesterday. I'll give him a call in a little bit. Maybe you should shoot him a text and say, "Hey man, you all right?"
Yeah, hope he's going to survive. I need him for my next
your next refi.
My next loan, yeah.
The nightcap is a other than. Now, Catholic Sue, I got to tell you, she's done a lot of growing up. She's a big filly. She's probably 16 and a half hands. She's really big. She, I normally don't care about. Look, here's the deal. I want you to see the replay.
All right.
Because we ran her on dirt a couple of times, and we're like, let's get her back on turf. She's a different horse. My brother Danny really has done wonders with this filly. I want you to watch the replay of this. She's number 2.
Field of 8 in the gate.
And just the visuals and the way the move she makes.
They're off. Towards the inside, Joy Zell and Catholic Sue moving on. Now Catholic Sue's taken back. Here's Texas Hottie and Get Out of My Kitchen moving up. And on the outside, Madeline Attack makes it 3 across the course going into the turn. Hidden Spin now in 4th. Joy Zella 5th, Chevelle B alongside her 6th, Catholic Sue 7th, Mulsanne in tight quarters in the back of the pack. They move on to the backstretch after a quarter, 23.71. Get Out of My Kitchen leads the way. Texas Hottie pressuring her 2nd. Inside, Madeline Attack, No Place to Go 3rd. And then on the outside, Hidden
She's really
Spin
keen
4th.
there.
Splitting Horses, Joy Zella's on the move 5th. Chevelle B out there 6
Watch
lengths
this.
behind the leader. Mulsanne has moved up a spot, trailing Catholic Sue. They're well bunched. 7 lanes covers them all. Less than a half mile to go, and they move into the far turn. Get Out of My Kitchen leads the way. Madeline Attack looking for room. Hidden Spin.
Oh, my.
On the outside. They move around the turn. In the outside now with a rush. Up on the outside, here comes Catholic Sue. She made a big move around the turn. Around the turn, they're in the stretch. It's still Get Out of My Kitchen leading the way. Catholic Sue 2nd. Losing a bit of ground was Hidden Spin. Now gaining ground. Here comes.
Did you have money on her today? This day?
Yeah, I had good money on her.
They're in deep stretch. Catholic
Is the Simonovich group going nuts at this point?
Oh, yeah. Back with Madeline Attack coming to the wire. Catholic Sue has the lead, and she'll finish in front by about 4.
So I wanted to play that. My brother, that was her first. That was her first turf run of the season, and she's just a different filly right now. And we've always liked her for turf. She's got 3 board hits on turf, but she's different now. And the waters are deeper. Get Out of My Kitchen ran 2nd there. That's the horse that Safe Cracker's running against in the race earlier.
Mm-hmm.
That's that speedy horse, but pretty much ran by her pretty easy. But you saw that she was keen early and then kind of stopped, waited, and then made that big move. And that's kind of a hard move to sustain and win like that. So
very true.
If we can get a more timed ride, and by the way, Santiago Gonzalez, I know Centino was on Catholic Sue that day, but Gonzalez was the jock that rode Lamplighter, so he knows how to rate. Now, if you look at the field, I mean, if you look at it, to me, you got the one stretching out, ran once on turf, didn't do well. The 2 has speed. The 3 is going to be stretching out, going to show a lot of speed. Not so much the 4. The 5, probably not too much speed. The 6 is going to show speed. The 8 stretching out is going to show speed. The outside horse actually won't. The outside horse rated pretty well. But point being, there's a lot of speed in here. And if she can improve a little bit, they got her at 20-1. And I think she's going to outrun her odds and make a board hit today. And with any luck, I don't know, maybe if the 10 doesn't show up or one of these other ones, I don't know. This other horse got a big number, but I'm kind of skeptical on if this one's going to be able to sustain that number routing. That was out of nowhere, an 80 by her speed figure off the layoff. And now you're going 2 turns. So I think it's going to be fast. I think we're going to be able to close and make a sustained move, a big move, and hopefully, we pull it off or run a big race here.
How many Simonovich family members will be in attendance at Hawthorne today?
Well, you know what? I got to be honest. We've had a lot of people at the track lately, but everybody kind of left town. Davey's sick. My brother's got his 2 kids. It might just be, believe it or not, me and my dad. But it would be cool if the Caspers joined in today. He inquired about joining in on the fun, and then one of my cousins might come out from.
Well, I'm sure
Indiana.
Nick the Kid will be there.
Nick the Kid, I don't know. He doesn't come out. He can't get a ride out there. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know if he drives.
Well, didn't he make it to Canterbury recently?
Yeah, he's got family up there.
I see.
And I think actually Nick the Kid is actually in Orlando, your area. He's at Disney World.
Wait, right now he is?
Yeah. He called me and said, what did he look? What I forgot what he would exhibit or whatever you call it, rides. I forgot, but
So
yeah,
all right. Let me say this.
he's at Disney World.
Okay. So let me just say this about Nick the Kid. I've met him. He's a perfectly nice guy, and I know he's part of the Simonovich clan. You know, he's around you guys a lot, and everybody likes Nick, and blah 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 blah. Here's my problem with Nick, and if Nick is watching, I know he's watching earlier. If he's watching now, I'll just talk directly to him. Nick, I don't like getting, whether it's social media posts or messages through Steve-O, where you seem to celebrate when I have a $200 double that goes up in flames. You know what I mean? Like, I take my swings, I miss. Look, it happens. Okay.
Oh, that's funny.
It's generally horse players. We don't appreciate it. Like when I miss a $200 double that I give out to people. Hi, Nick. Now I can talk directly to you. Look, I'm not happy about it. If I've given advice to people and they've lost, I feel even worse about it. I don't need it rubbed in my face. Okay. So I'm going to bite back. Now, you want to mock me for losing 200 on a race? I'm going to mock you and I'm going to say, I don't think you even have $200. Now, maybe you do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're loaded. I don't have any idea. But in my experience, people who mock others for losing a losing bet don't have a lot of money. And they're mocking people like me out of some attempt to feel better about them. I don't know. I don't even really know you, Nick. I'm not super excited that you looked up my address on the internet. Obviously, that's doable these days in this day and age. Okay, but now that Steve-O has informed me you're actually in Orlando, you know, I just say we're not taking any visitors right now. Okay, so let's keep our distance.
That cowboy hat. He visited my brother Marco in Dallas. We were there for a tournament at Lone Star. My brother Mike, Champagne Mike, and Marco took him to it was some big store there where you can buy cowboy boots and cowboy hats. He bought boots and that hat. And then my brother Mike took him to, what's the famous breakfast place? It's like the chain. I forgot.
Waffle House.
It was a Waffle House. Yeah, I think it was. He ordered like 5 plates of food and he ate it all but it took him an hour and a half. My brother said. Interesting story.
Yeah, listen, I'm sure Nick is a great guy, and I'm sure if we hung out together, we'd have a great time. But I would just appreciate you doing 2 things. I don't need to be mocked for my losing wagers.
He said he had 200 to win on Lamplighter. That's what he told me. I don't know if it's true or not.
No, I think he's probably lying.
That's a big bet for Nick, though. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah, and you know, I don't appreciate people that I don't really know looking at my address online and then telling others. It's not needed. It's not needed.
Yeah.
So, who is he in Orlando with?
I think they're with his mother and some other family members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, have a great time. Orlando's a very hot and humid city, so we'll leave it at that.
So, what are you doing today? Anything fun with the family?
I am traveling for, as you know, I started a new job back in June. Tomorrow is my first road trip with my new employer in the world of cybersecurity. This job is my first office job in 14 years. I've been on the road and in airplanes and airports for most of my recent career since about 2011 or so. And this is an office job. I work for a really good company. It's here in the Orlando area. We've got everybody works from the office. Nobody works from home. And it's been a change, but I enjoy it. And then tomorrow is my first road trip. I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina, for an event there. So I'll be out of town. I'm prepping for that. I'm going to take it easy today. The kids are with their mother, and the wife and I are just home relaxing. That's good. I'll be at the track. Hopefully, we'll go out to dinner afterwards, get a steak if we win, and today's entry day. We're entering, I think, 5 horses for Thursday next week. We're going to be taking a trip down to Fairmount Park, my first ever trip next Friday.
Dick
is
Best.
that the contest or is that something different?
Dick Best will be running. No contest. There's going to be a contest later on in September. I'm trying to get everybody to go to. Win or lose, appreciate the insights and entertainment. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't mention this. I think the last 2 picks I gave out on the show both ran butt naked last. So we'll hopefully do a little better today.
The show before that was better. And by the way, I'm going to make a coffee with dew intro or outro.
I love it.
I don't have one yet, but I'm going to come up with one. But I guess I can close the show with me and you clapping home. What was the name of the horse at Churchill that Rich didn't have? And we were
Gun Pilot.
Gun Pilot. Yeah. Me and you were clapping that one home on the Oaklawn Capping Hour intro that I did.
That horse, that race, because I hit for 6,000 in that race, and then I won a contest prize for another 4. So that was a $10,000 score for me on that horse that I like. You know,
that was a great pick that day. Mm-hmm. And Rich, he had a will pay to a pick 4 or 5 and did not have that horse. Poor Rich.
Rich yesterday. He hit big.
Rich is on fire. Rich, Hall of Famer, man. Rich Nilsson.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Justin. I'm gonna, I don't know, see what's going on with entries. Get something to eat. Get ready to jet out. Look for us in the winner's circle at Hawthorne Racecourse.
I'll be watching, brother. Be good.
All right. Talk to you guys later.